Ladies and gentlemen, in 2025, we are living a dystopian nightmare, and many of us aren't even aware of it. We are living in societies around the world, living under businessmen, politicians, and persons of influence and power. And for the regular, low commoner, they will suffer. It's not a matter of if, it's a guarantee. And it leaves you wondering, well, why are they going to suffer? And the answer to that is quite simple, right? If we look at history throughout time, what humans do when they have power, you will find that it's in our nature to abuse power and take advantage of power and impose our will onto other people. And to really consider this idea, what I want you to understand is this one concept. If I am confident that I know what needs to happen or what you can be doing better in your life, and I have the power to make you do so, I'm just going to make you do so because I'm confident in what I believe and what I know. For a person that has moral code of conduct, they're not going to let their personal beliefs be imposed onto someone else. They're not going to let their beliefs and opinions change who another person is. But we have a lot of that in societies around the world where people want regulation, and I see no issue with regulation, but when moral code of conduct is in question, we have a bigger issue. You have nations of the world dictating who should have X amount of kids. You have countries around the world that dictate what the populace generally should study. Now, in some ways, leaders will influence some people to study different degree programs by saying, okay, we're going to pay or waiver some expenses for this program or for this person. And that's fine. But when you're explicitly stating to people that they should and shouldn't do by law, you have a bigger issue and it's widespread. Then you have corporate greed and the growth of technology, or rather the stagnation of technology, unless you're paying for every upgrade. As a society right now, it's a dystopian nightmare that we can't do much without a cell phone. We can't do much without technology. And we're becoming so crippled and restricted because everyone's addicted to their cell phone, addicted to TikTok, addicted to social media, that everyone's just in airplane mode for an extended period of time, going in a direction and they haven't even considered where they're going. Because it's one thing to be an autopilot and you know where you're going and you have a goal, but it's the next thing to be autopilot going nowhere. That's like flying an airline, being an autopilot and just going straight in whatever direction. You don't have any plan of action, you don't have any idea where you're going, and you don't know where you're landing. That is why we have an issue. We don't have any ambitious persons, and anybody that is ambitious, they're being pushed away. They're being pushed away. They're being segregated from the general populace, ostracized, bullied at a young age. And if they don't have the sheer willpower to overthrow these ideas and these issues, they're just gonna lose and give up to the general populace and fall victim to the same mistakes. And as the years go on, we get closer and closer to this dystopian nightmare that is a reality, that we are losing our individuality, we're losing our humanity, and we are being psychologically reprogrammed by what we consume on a daily basis. Whether it be on TikTok, on YouTube, on the news, on television, on your cell phone, you can't even escape it because when you go outside and you speak to people, they're talking about the same things. They're talking about what's going on in another country. They're talking about this political agenda. They're talking about this belief, this opinion, and they're not speaking from themselves. They're speaking and spewing out information that they got from someone else, which just shows the lack of character that they have. And I wish there was a way for us to avoid this dystopian nightmare. But really, as it stands right now, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. It's inevitable. Because a century ago, some countries were, centuries ago, we would have had issues in societies. We would have colonizers and nations that colonized. And that was based on the idea that wealth was equal to land and nothing more, nothing less. Now, in our society in 2025, we have different assets that exist in reality and in virtual reality. It's no longer about just land and property because some of the most valuable things don't even have a footprint. So the things that were applied in 1920 versus 2020 are completely different. And now we're putting value on things that are intangible. We're putting our assets in intangible things. Even myself right here, I'm making a YouTube video. And if it were to blow up today, it's going to be in a blink of an eye, something that can vanish because we have a power outage or we just have a blackout or global blackout. And people are just comfortable with it. Or let me not say comfortable. They accept that they can't do anything about it. They don't have the money to do it. They don't have the power and they don't have the influence to change anything. And the people that are in these positions are keeping the other persons down in some way because they set up structures that prevent other people from growing and developing, whether it's them directly or indirectly. This is where regulation comes at a cost. A few years ago, you could have started some businesses, and now it's a lot harder to start those businesses because the consumers have been literally abused by a previous producer. And now, when you're trying to be a producer, you're going to suffer because everybody inside the consumer market is like, oh, wow, I tried this before and it sucked. And it's up to you now to be different and convince someone otherwise while also paying taxes, while also paying expenses, while trying to hop through all the loops that these persons made. And they don't even take advantage of because from what I see, it's near impossible for you to be successful and go about it, the book, go by the book. It's just not possible. You have to find some advantages and you have to take advantage in some way, shape, or form. So it leaves you to wonder, why? Why was this possible? Was it possible because no one was aware? No. Was it possible because they didn't see the damage or didn't think there would be consequences? No. Quite frankly, it was a simple matter of we'll let the next generation handle it. That's an issue for the next generation to deal with. And we are the next generation. We're the next generation. And by a society standpoint, in this dystopian nightmare, we are now expected to financially be stable, get a job, be fully educated, and contribute to our society by paying taxes and paying for taxes so the pensioners and the retirees can live or continue to live. And it's really sad because even the elder people, they want to retire, but they can't retire. And they just like, why can't I retire? Why is my money losing value? Why is these things happening to me? I want someone to save me. Where's the young people at? Why aren't they fixing our problems? The problems that they made. The persons that are in power and authority right now, today, they are not in my age bracket. And they won't be for another 20 years. The people that are in power today, right now, the people that are of affluence, who the younger generations are listening to, they're listening to our old generation. Boomers, baby boomers, millennials, people above the age of 45 or 40, 35. Let's just be real, 35 and up. People that are 35 and up, they're in power, they're in authority, and they are in positions to fix things, but they're not going to fix anything. They're so out of tune with what the reality of life is right now that it's just something inevitable in my eyes. I think it's inevitable. Unless you completely boycott these groups and these organizations and these policies, these politicians, and hold them accountable to some level of standard, it's just going to keep going, because the next generation is going to come and they're going to say, well, I've done it for 20 years and I want to take a full advantage because I suffered for 20 years and I want to live the best that I can for as long as I can. It's going to repeat the cycle, because the cycle has been repeating for the last century, quite frankly. So just be mindful. Take it all in. The world that you see today is bad, but it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And as much I would like to say that, I have hope, I am hopeful. I'm hopeful for the time when Gen Z will have no other option but to step up and take accountability and responsibility. And I think the millennials and the baby boomers would want us to, but they're also not being trusting to us. But at some point, it's going to happen. At some point, when a lot of the older generation starts to pass on and there's no one left but us, we're going to have to bear the burden of responsibility and try our best to recover whatever remains from the dystopian paradise or nightmare we live in today.